Hello, everybody. You never know when we're going to show up and what we're going to do, but here we are, live on Facebook. By the way, to my right, perhaps your left. Oh no, is it their left or their right?
It's a great question. I think it's the left on the screen.
Tell us if you're on the if my son Carl is on the left or right. But this is my son Carl, and if we had our applause mechanism right now, we push the button. Hey! And by the way, our special guest today is a dear friend of mine, tested and proven as a man of God, a great prophetic insight for over 20 years, Dr. Gregorian Wark. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, for joining us. And Kim Clement was the one who initially introduced us. And I'll never forget that night we met in California. It was near, I don't know, it was Hollywood or something. And somebody, was it your car that was stolen or something? And and we went on somebody's car was taken, and we jumped in a car. And it was freaking me out because we were in a quest to overtake the car theft.
You're chasing, yes.
And we were driving all over and speeding around. And Kim was like, I thought, what are we going to do when we find them? We're going to jump out and try to take car thieves on? And that was my first night with you and Kim. First night with Kim and you. And ever since then, your life stayed like that. Mine got normal. So,
well, you're right. I think I've probably been to 10 war zones, 7 disaster areas, riots, and numerous other things with the work that we started 22 years ago, Lance. But, the one thing that I notice is, you, no matter if I've seen you 10 years, we haven't seen each other 10 years or what, you've always the same quality, great man of God, the great Dr. Lance Wallnau. And I appreciate seeing you, my friend. Hey, I want to know, how do I keep looking as young as you managed to be doing? It's not fair. I was actually called Santa Claus the other day, and I'm only 62.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't. You don't look like Santa. You look more dangerous than Santa. It's all that military activity. But you caught it. We're on December 7th. For those of you that are watching live, it's December 7th. A lot of people are going to catch this on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. But you just said something to me. What is prophetic about today's date? And I think I know, because you alerted.
Actually, December 7th, 1941, the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor. And of course, we know that the death toll was almost completely men and women who served in the United States military. But today is the 77th anniversary of that attack. And of course, our president said that the actions of that day would live forever in infamy. And so it's kind of interesting that we're talking about this today. But also, Lance, the greatest generation was born that day. So out of this incredible tragedy, men and women left their farms, their factories, their businesses, their families, their crying mothers from all over this nation. And they joined the United States military to not only deal with the Japanese aggression against us, but to serve this nation and to die for this nation so that freedom could be once again restored.
Very well put. And so I'm curious about you. You start, when I met you, you were in one field, I want to ask, because I wanted my son's perspective on some of this.
Sure.
He grew up with you, me and Kim, in our antics in our youth.
They were semantics.
Now that he's like in his 20s, mid-20s. So out of curiosity, so when you're hearing this, like what thoughts are coming to you?
Well, initially, I'm curious what actually got you into the mission field.
Well, that's kind of an interesting story. I appreciate you asking that. And by the way, I love millennials. You're right. That's for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I love millennials. But what happened was, I was a pastor of a successful church, my second church plant. And I was invited by a television producer to go to the Navy SEAL compound in Coronado, California. Every SEAL has to go through the crucible of basic underwater demolition SEAL training there to be pinned to Trident. So actually, I went there during that time, and I was riding in the back of a pickup truck while they were running 5 miles and swimming 5 miles back. And a Navy SEAL happened to be standing next to me, and someone called me pastor. And the SEAL looked at me and he said, "You one of those Christian guys?" And I said, "Yes, I'm a pastor." He says, "You know what? We have no room for people like you around here." And it was right then that God said to me, "Behold your mission field." I just finished a building project. We had a wonderful sanctuary. That was it. It was over. So 6 months later, I was full-time working to mentor military personnel. And we've been doing it for the last 22 years.
Wow.
What's the mentoring process?
Yeah. What is the mentoring process that you just brought up?
Well, what we learned, the thing that, a mission field, you've got to learn the language, you've got to learn the culture, you've got to learn all the details regarding the life of a military person. And most of us don't understand that those people, those who join the military do not live, it's not a democracy. So once you swear an oath to serve and protect the United States of America, you do what you're ordered to do without question. And so what was the question again? I'm sorry, I get talking over myself.
That's fair.
What was it?
I was curious as to what the mentorship program looks like.
Okay, the mentoring is what
translates.
How did they induct you? How did they actually get you into their world?
It's a different question, but yeah.
Well, there's a really unique story about that. After God spoke to me and said, "This is your mission field," I walked into a gym one day, and I'm going to make a long story very short. And as I walked into the gym, my friend owned it. I looked over and there was this guy standing on one of those medicine balls.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's not leaning against the wall. He's standing on it and he's balancing with 245s. And this guy looked like he was freakish looking. He was scary looking. And of course I went over to work out and I couldn't take my eyes off because why is this guy not falling on his tail end?
Right.
I did not know, but he was a Navy SEAL, an active duty Navy SEAL. And so I sit down and the Lord gives me a word for him. He says, tell this man that I'm going to go tell this man what I have to say to him. And I'm like, okay. So I walk over to him and he has he's half African-American, half Sicilian. So he's half mafioso. And so anyway, I walk over to him and he's looking at me like he wants to kill me. And I said, hey, I feel like God's giving me something for you. Do you mind? He never said yes or no. He just looked at me with this really intimidating face. So I said to him, I feel like God's going to open up Hollywood to you. And I'm making this really short, but that you're going to be speaking in front of hundreds of thousands of people declaring the message of Christ. So I gave him the word and he looks at me, he says, "You done?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Mind if I get back to my workout?"
Oh, wow.
So I forgot about him. 6 months later, I get a call from a guy on the phone. He says, "I want to meet." Not hi, goodbye, nothing. "I want to meet." I said, "Well, who are you?" He says, "I'm the guy you bothered at the gym." He said, "I want to meet." I said, "Okay, well, let me look at my schedule." He said, "Now." Almost didn't even let me finish. So I still didn't know anything about this guy. Long story short, I went and met with him. 2 hours later, he's weeping in my car, having accepted Christ into his life and filled with the Holy Spirit. His name's Jeff Bramstead. He's the United States Navy SEAL, served 14 years. And the interesting thing about it is that's how we started mentoring. I started mentoring Jeff. Now, Jeff had just come back from combat. He had tremendous post-traumatic stress. And we call him Bram because in the SEAL teams, they all have nicknames. So anyway, Jeff was in a very poor, bad shape. So it took me years. I actually moved him into my house while he served. And let me fast forward to now. Jeff's been in 43 major motion pictures. So the prophecy that I gave him in that, he's been in all the Pearl Harbor. He was in that. He's in all the movies. I could go on and on and on. But he now owns a company that trains all special operations to do all the free fall skydiving. So he trains all the SEALs. He trains all everybody. But he also has a men's ministry called Life of Valor, where the only speakers are military SEALs. Wow. And he's reaching thousands for Christ. And then just most recently, he gave away half his liver to a stranger and adopted a 4-year-old little boy who was like him, abandoned at birth. So that's how we started. So you ask how we mentor. Mm-hmm. Jeff began to mentor. Then we started reaching tens, 20s, hundreds of other special operators. And so over time, we have the hundreds of mentors who actually get into a person's life one-on-one, whether it be on the phone or whether it be face-to-face, goes on all day long.
That's amazing.
Sorry if that was a long answer, but that's what we do. We believe that the personal touch is absolutely essential to people who live in the community that they serve in.
And the name of that organization is what I call it?
Mission Force.
Yeah.
Let me just put this up here right now. missionforce.org. It's coming up on the screen now. It says find out more here about missionforce.org. That's excellent. So
yeah, and you know, Lance, I was going to tell you, Jeff found out I was afraid of heights. I was doing a Bible study, and I mistakenly told 26 Navy SEALs I was afraid of heights.
That's a huge mistake.
Oh well,
Huge mistake. I got kidnapped and thrown out of an airplane at 13,000 feet.
Well, slow down.
So I'm way. And you're next.
Story. What do you mean? Do that one a little slower. So then you tell them that, and they look at each other. Did you know right then you made a mistake?
No, I had no clue. In fact, the day they kidnapped me, one of the guys I didn't realize that my whole counseling schedule was these guys that were going to kidnap me. So these are, that's why they're Navy SEAls. They're just.
Wait a second. So they all booked appointments like they needed help, and you would
then called me and said one of the guys was suicidal.
Oh, and you really better pay attention, right?
And you have to get to the drop zone. You have to get to the DZ, and we're going to send Will to pick you up, who's one of the guys. So when I arrived at the drop zone, I was freaking out because I knew I had to help this guy not kill himself.
Yeah.
And I see all these Cheshire Cat SEALs standing there with the blue suit that I had to put on, and a running airplane. And I knew right then that it was that moment that either I ponied up, did it, and earned their respect, or I didn't do it and lost their respect. It was really both. It was really a moment of truth for me, and honestly, that broke my fear of heights. But it also taught me a really good principle that the fears we have in our imagination are never even remotely close to the actual situation.
Yeah.
So when I was up there jumping out of an airplane, it was fun. You know, it's really, and I'm going to have him come get Lance one of these days and do the same thing.
No, you're not, because I never said I had a fear of heights. I fly
but I can see it. No, let me tell you something. Flying is not the same as skydiving. Just want you to know that. This is not like an airplane ride. The door's open, and the guy says, on the count of 3, we're going out, and you never get to 2. So basically, there's no turn. These guys are just amazing to work with. I'm sorry, Pastor Lance. I'm taking over your show here.
No, I haven't passed.
That's how we mentor. We have fun together.
Right now, I'm doing trauma therapy.
Well, for 22 years, I've had my house is invaded on weekends by military people, no matter where I move.
Really?
So right now we're in Nashville, and Fort Campbell is our focus. That's where the 5th Group Green Berets are. That's where the Transitional Battalion is, which are all people who've lost limbs. The Traumatic Brain Injury Unit is there. We supply dogs for soldiers who have lost limbs or have had traumatic brain injury. Trained dogs. These are $10,000 dogs that we give them. And of course, the 101st Airborne is there. The 160th, which was the helicopter squadron that flew the SEALs in to get Osama bin Laden.
Wow.
Yeah. Osama bin Laden. Hey, listen, Carl had a question for you earlier, and I couldn't answer it. He asked the question we just couldn't clarify. So what was that?
So I had a small handful of questions. Something that we weren't just talking about is the trauma that a lot of our troops go through, and when they come back, it's really difficult for them to integrate back into society. So I was curious what type of systems you had in place for reintegration, and also if you could just touch on some of the PTSD, anxiety issues, the panic attacks that they readily are going through, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, sure. I just yesterday counseled a young special operator who has for 8 months been drunk. And I finally got a hold of him and sat him down and was able to get through some of the post-traumatic stress that he was going through. We have a number of different things that we do. One of them is what I call building memorials. It's a long story, but we take them through a process where the experience that they had in war becomes like a hand in front of your face.
Okay.
And they're trying to look at life through these fingers. And after a while, the brain erases that hand. And you don't realize the hand's still there, but the mind is seeing life through that obstacle, and it creates stress. And so anxiety and stress and sleeplessness and panic attacks are a byproduct of these traumatic events. What we've learned to do is to restructure those events through the counseling methods we've tested and tried over 22 years to a memory instead of an obstacle. And of course, it's again a long story, but it's something we've got really good at. And so that's one of the things. But post-traumatic stress is so real that we've literally had to tackle one guy from jumping off of our balcony, which he would have died, running for the balcony. It's also why 22 veterans a day kill themselves. Most people don't understand how big of a number that is because, 22 men a day. Now, how does, suicide isn't something that I would never understand. Why is it that veterans are so willing to kill themselves? Most people don't know why. And the reason is that they're trained out of a fear of death. So death is they're trained in an environment where using a gun, even on yourself, becomes an option.
Right.
And so that's why we're seeing so many suicides, but also we're seeing suicides because our VA has no clue. We're the best country in the world at doing war. Nobody does it better. The problem is we just don't know what to do with the warrior after the war.
Right.
And that's where everybody thinks it's the VA is gonna fix it. They're not. I think they have like $154 billion budget, and unfortunately they're failing miserably. I believe that's one of the things that I'm working towards, is trying to get that $154 billion allocated to the private sector, where we can start to work with our veterans the way they deserve, buying them homes, buying them different things, providing them with what they deserve. They're our heroes and they deserve it. So we have post-traumatic stress. I've invented a new dynamic that is, I'm seeing in a lot of them, and that is post-traumatic spiritual stress syndrome. And that is essentially what happens is, because of what they have to do, they often come home thinking that God could not, because of what they were asked to do by their country, ever have a relationship with him. And so we deal with that quite a bit. We try to teach them the understanding, God's understanding of, we also have traumatic brain injury, which I mentioned, and the divorce rate is off the charts. So there's a lot of stuff to deal with, and we're not afraid of any of it. We believe that the Holy Spirit, the power of God, will give us the ability to help them all, and has, to the tune of thousands.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So earlier you were talking about building memorials. Would you mind just elaborating on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little intensive, but I take all of my counseling techniques that I use for the military from scriptural directives. Now, I don't let them know that, but
right.
I also always use things that I've got, truths I've received from the Holy Spirit. Well, one day I was actually praying about how can I help them more with these mental and emotional and these ugly, terrible memories, many of them sleepless nights, that how can I help them? And the Lord showed me something really unique about what happened when the Israelites crossed the Jordan River into Canaan. And he showed me that when and it's almost like they're crossing from the trauma to a new life. we bring them from the desert where they're doing circles with their memory, and we bring them to the Jordan. But before they can completely cross over, they have to build a memorial. Why did God tell the Israelites to build a memorial? Now, I know Dr. Lance will know. There's a reason. So that when they see, a memorial is not just an end to something, it's a beginning to something. So a memorial was built in the middle of the Jordan by the 12 tribes of Israel. And the reason was that every time they started to act out or be the kind of people they used to be in the desert, they would turn around and look, and they would see that that's the moment that ended. You see, our soldiers need to know that there is a moment that they can establish where the power of that memory, that event, that trauma is broken. And it's been proven many, many times, including I just did a seminar with 14 multimillionaires between the ages of 30 and 40. And we saw amazing things. I'm not sure if I explained it very well, but
you did. No, I appreciate it. It was a little bit more intangible than I was going for, but I do appreciate the idea behind it. For sure.
Yeah, well, there's a process to it that I didn't bring up. Is the how they actually build a memorial is they write down the things that they want to put there. And what's interesting is when I have them write those down, I have them leave and come back. And some of them have them so tight in their fists that you'd have to cut their hand off to get it out of their hand, because that's a memory that they never, ever want anyone to know. And some have it, you could see all these dynamics happening.
Wow. Really, there's so much that you do. And we've got on the screen, we have the missionforce.org up.
We're going to put up the Facebook next.
And people can also, we're on Facebook now, so missionforce.org. And also on Facebook, they could search for Mission Force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and,
I do.
And we could really go on, and we will do more. We'll come back and talk some more. But I want people to support this, because everybody's talking about, the VA reform. But while VA is doing whatever it does, and who knows how hard it is to get the money out of the bureaucracy in order to really get solutions. In the meantime, you are in the private sector. You're there already doing it. So we want to be able to help you with this. So once again, what is the work you're doing, and what are they contributing to?
Well, we do everything, all these things for free. We have a Christmas dinner we're doing tomorrow for 9 hours. For the people at the post at Fort Campbell. We have something going on in San Diego. From coast to coast, we do things for our military. Good. We do it for free. They'll never pay for counseling. They'll never pay for any of the things that we provide. So, one of the initiatives that I'm kicking off for 2019, Dr. Lance, is $22 a month to fight this 22 suicides a day. We believe we can help that. We've seen it happen multiple times, but that's an initiative. Everybody can do that. It's not much money. We're not asking for it, but what we have is we have a volunteer staff of former people that we've reached. So our staff is vast, but they don't get paid for it. It's a perfect system, so that no matter where a person or soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine is struggling with suicide, we have somebody that can go reach them. And
absolutely, and that's Alcoholics Anonymous. That's the whole genius of it. It's that when you're in AA, you're there on call for the person who obviously at 2 a.m. or midnight or whatever, they're struggling. You're there because that's in a sense how you stay healthy, is to help somebody else get healthy.
Yeah, I didn't see you, by the way, there at the meeting the other day.
No, I was looking for you. I showed up in the wrong place.
Okay, all right.
Now look. I want to get this down. It's really important that folks can really. It's $22. You're talking about a month. I'll do that. I'm in on it. I'll go there because I believe in what you're doing. I want to help you get this message out, and I want everyone who's watching this to share. Now, who knows how many will watch this? We have anywhere between 30 and 90,000 people that watch these broadcasts. But I want everyone to share this. Please, when you're watching it right now, just hit share and when this goes off, share, check out the missionforce.org. And they could sign up there, right? If they want to partner with you, they want to help you.
Yeah, there's a donate page there. And we, the one thing I want to make this clear, that we do three things: mentor, crisis management, and reintegration. The reintegration is where we get them jobs after they get out, which is often the most difficult moment of their lives.
Absolutely.
So what we want to do is call all you employers who are out there, please drop me a line on the website and let me know if you want a veteran. Best people you will ever have work for you. If you have a job opening, we provide them with those jobs, no matter what it is. Interesting, I just got back from Cambodia, and we were doing a interdiction there. And I took a Navy SEAL, an 18 Delta, with us. And when we found the kids that we were there to relocate from a trafficking situation, that Navy SEAL was trained. A lot of their arms had been broken. A lot of their problems were medical. Right. And we had an 18 Delta Navy SEAL doctor there who was able to treat them. And so there are jobs that they can do. In fact, I just got back from doing the hurricanes, and I took another Navy SEAL with me there, and 5 military guys, and they were paid to do the job. So if you have a job, no matter what it is, please let us know. We want our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, our heroes, to work for people like you.
Absolutely.
Especially people that have gone through the kind of integration process and spiritual grounding you're talking about. What is special forces for any organization, the people that are like that? Well, we'll do that. And I want to get this message out, and I want to follow up on it. Is there anything else you wanted to ask?
No, just to the viewers at home, please do check out missionforce.org. You don't have to sign up monthly. You can do a one-time donation. Every little bit helps. And I just really wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing, sir. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say that with Lance, I have so many wonderful memories of you, me, and Kim gallivanting and doing the things that we're doing. Of course, we've lost our good friend, but I'm so honored that you would allow me to communicate our vision on your network. A lot of people don't think a lot of people don't understand that there are some of the greatest needs that a person ever will have are in the military world. And we think that they're just taken care of, and they're not.
Right.
So what we're calling for is just a revival of people of God to look towards the warriors that earn and pay for our freedom. And we're here to help. If you want to be part of the team or want to do anything to help, just let me know.
We're on, man. We love it. And there's more information that's going to come in. All of you guys that are watching and gals, ask your questions. You can send your questions in. We're going to do another follow-up with Dr. Wark here on more stories. I mean, he's got so many stories of such gritty character and quality that he's holding back. I know what he's doing. He's thinking, what can I say that's appropriate for Lance's clean-cut audience? But we're going to talk to him off screen and let him know that he has full permission to tell us these outrageous stories.
There are more than I
what he tells them to us. So
we'll get an underground exclusive.
Yes,
don't worry.
That's it.
Way, it'll be good.
The 7M underground exclusive.
I have earned every one of these white hairs.
Good. We're gonna count them, and we're gonna get as many stories out of you.
I love it. All right, well, Dr. Wark, we'll be talking some more. Everybody, move. You want to move fast on this missionforce.org. If God's speaking to you, look, even a one-time offering of $22 for the 22 suicides, you're doing something a day. Is that a day?
22 suicides a day.
A day.
It's over, I think, 8,000 people a year.
What?
That's right. And they're all veterans.
Yeah.
Or active duty.
Madness. All right. We love you, Dr. Wark, and all our folks that are out there. Carl, thank you. He's got such a great broadcast voice. I sound so nasally and Seinfeldish. His voice is like gifted for this.
Yeah, you both have to tell me how to get my teeth as white as yours.
Crest.
I love the thumb. I love the thumb. That was awesome.
I love you, brother.
Thank you, guys.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau, but you already know that. Did you know that you can subscribe, however? You just push that button right there,
We're over there, and ding. Now we're connected. Look forward to seeing you soon.